King Charles says Dunfermline's new city status would gladden my dear mother's heart. Scottish City was one of 8 communities granted city status in May to mark the late Queen's Platinum Jubilee. The King said on Monday that the conferral of city status on the Scottish city of Dunfermline would gladden my dear mother's heart, as it certainly gladdens mine. Joined by the Queen Consort for their first joint engagement since the end of royal mourning, the King noted that Queen Elizabeth's deep love for Scotland was one of the foundations of her life. He added, "There could be no more fitting way to mark my beloved mother's extraordinary life of service than by granting this honour to a place made famous by its own long and distinguished history, and by the indispensable role it has played in the life of our country." The late Queen, who died at Balmoral Castle in Aberdeenshire on September 8, granted 8 communities city status in May to mark her Platinum Jubilee. The other winners were Bangor in Northern Ireland, Wrexham in Wales, Douglas on the Isle of Man and Stanley in the Falkland Isles, as well as Colchester, Doncaster and Milton Keynes. Dunfermline, the burial place of Robert the Bruce, was selected as the Scottish winner, becoming the 8th city in Scotland alongside Aberdeen, Dundee, Edinburgh, Glasgow, Inverness, Perth and Stirling. Dunfermline was Scotland's capital and seat of power from the 11th century until 1437, when the status was transferred to Edinburgh following the assassination of James I. The King and Queen Consort joined Nicola Sturgeon, the First Minister, at a ceremony to formally confer city status at Dunfermline City Chambers, where Charles signed a guest book before walking over to Dunfermline Abbey, where 18 royals were buried between 1093 and 1420. Hundreds lined the streets to catch a glimpse of the royal couple, who retreated to Scotland on September 20, the day after the Queen's funeral, to grieve in private. The King said both he and the Queen Consort were immensely proud to be able to share in such an historic moment. "I was delighted when, in May this year, it was announced that Dunfermline was one of the 8 communities being granted city status to mark the late Queen's Platinum Jubilee," he said. "Now, of course, we gather to celebrate this great occasion but also to commemorate the life of Her late Majesty, whose deep love for Scotland was one of the foundations of her life. Dunfermline is the birthplace of philanthropists." The King noted that the city had long been of immense significance to both Scotland and the wider UK's story. "It is the birthplace of philanthropists. It is the burial place of kings and queens. It has been the scene of events, both secular and sacred, which have shaped our times," he said. "Its stones tell the story of the people and the events which have made our country what it is today. It is also, of course, a community. And it is my hope that all those who live in, or who hail from, this very special place, will feel a real sense of pride at this latest chapter in our rich history, and that this new distinction will not merely burnish the legacy of the past but will also brighten the prospect of our future. That would, I know, gladden my dear mother's heart, as it certainly gladdens mine. As you celebrate your well-deserved status as Scotland's new city, I can only offer my warmest congratulations and my heartfelt wishes for the years to come."